series created to provide news and alumni content for the Suffield Academy community, featuring you, the Suffield Academy community. My name is Adam Pistol, Assistant Director of Development in Suffield Academy Class of 2008. Everyone at Suffield hopes you and your families are well during this difficult time. Although you may be unable to step foot physically on Suffield Academy's campus, we are going to bring all of Suffield Academy to you through Tiger TV Network. What can you expect from Tiger TV? Well, besides excitement and fun, you will be reminded of your Suffield days and experience them in a whole new way. This is an opportunity to reconnect with classmates and learn about Tigers who are class years apart. Each episode will focus on a particular area of the school and highlight various alumni excelling professionally in that field. You will visit recent updates to campus and also see how Suffield has adapted to life with COVID-19. The program will also feature various segments highlighting your spirit and love for Suffield. You will hear from classmates through virtual class notes, answer trivia questions for a chance to win Suffield prizes, and much more. The Suffield Academy community is strong, and it is more important than ever to stay connected. The first episode will focus on the arts. The arts have a deep and rich history at Suffield, and I'm excited to spotlight some of the updates to the department. In addition to 4 interviews with alums who are excelling in the world of art, we will also take a tour of the PAC. We hope you enjoy the first episode and welcome to Tiger TV Network. I'm pleased to welcome Billy Simons, Suffield Academy Class of 2002, to the show. Billy is a creative at heart, although he admits it took him a while to admit that to himself. After graduating from Suffield in 2002, Billy attended NYU, where he majored in economics, after which he pursued a career in commercial real estate. Years later, he abandoned that ship and jumped into the creative world. Today, Billy loves to draw and tell stories, and he does both almost completely compulsively. As a storyteller, he has released 5 studio albums, written and illustrated 2 children's books, and his latest project is a collection of whimsical illustrated poems for adults and kids that came about because of the pandemic. He currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia with his wife and 17-month-old son. Welcome to the show, Billy.
Thank you. Good to see everyone.
You're a multi-talented artist. You write, you sing, you draw, you do it all. Why don't you start off by explaining to everybody how you discovered this passion and talent for the arts?
Sure. So I think probably like a lot of people at Suffield, my parents were in, they're business people. Yeah, so they're business owners in Massachusetts. And so we grew up with that at home. But my brother and I were always doodlers growing up. And so there's a lot of drawing going on. That part was kind of just always in the background, whether it was actually drawing things in an art class or, I was in Gordon Glover's English class, kind of doodling in my notebook while, of course, listening because I love Gordy. But the music part came a little bit later. I went through a handful of instruments as a kid that just kind of didn't take. I took piano lessons for like a week and drum lessons for like a day. And then finally guitar stuck and a couple other instruments stuck around. And so by the time I went off to college, there was this kind of a combination of, I'm going to go to school in New York where there's arts, but I'm going to focus on econ, which is business, because I feel like I should be doing kind of proper business stuff. And the art stuff kept coming back. So I was playing shows in New York for years and writing music and recording albums, but while still having a day job in commercial real estate. And it wasn't until kind of a handful of years later that I was like, I'm just gonna actually kind of go for the creative things. That seems to be what my brain wants to do all the time. And I'm trying to force myself into another box. And it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made doing that.
And fast forwarding to college, you're at NYU, you want to get into real estate. And how long did you work in that space before you realized that maybe this wasn't the right path for you?
About 10 years total that I was working commercial real estate. And, I think one of the things that, I specifically remember writing this down, being in college and saying to myself, you know what, I'm going to get a certain type of job. I'm going to make money for X amount of years. And then I'm going to go into creative stuff later once I've made some money. And I don't think it's the right way to do it. Like, I think looking back now, I really wish that I had invested that time in a proper art education. And I think if someone was thinking that same thing, I think you're missing really valuable time in the connections that you need to make, learning things about whatever. It doesn't have to be art. It could be anything, whatever industry that is. And so it was about 10 years that I was working in real estate before, I was like, you know, okay, I think I'm actually going to go full time into this other thing that I've been working on a part-time basis. And I mean, I think anyone who's also forcing themselves in a different direction than where they should be going eventually finds that out.
So you move to Atlanta, and then what's the first thing you do? You decide you're ready to make the jump. What project do you jump into? Where do you go from there?
Sure. So the first thing was just creating a lot of stuff. So I think it can be easy to think like, if I want to be an illustrator or an artist of some form, I think there may be some sort of tendency to wait for someone to tell you that you are that, or that you know, you've been hired to do this thing. And I think the real way you have to do it is to just start doing it and sharing it with people and talking to people. And so I started just creating things that I wanted to create based on things that I liked looking at, and sharing a lot of it online and reaching out to people. And so doing restaurant work was probably the first thing that started catching, whether it was you know, menu design, logo design, done a couple corporate logo designs, which ended up coming through friends of friends. It was a lot of kind of word of mouth business generation.
You're also a musician as well, and I know you produced some songs and albums. Did you get into the music side as well in Atlanta?
So when we first moved here, because in 2018, I put out the last album that I put out was called Bless Your Heart. And it was a collection of kind of more of Americana folksy stuff, which is kind of the fun part about being creative, I guess, or whatever you call it, where you just get motivated to do certain types of projects. And so when we first moved here, it was at the same time drawing things and trying to get that started. It's just kind of a wave of musical inspiration. And so played a handful of shows here, put together an album, had a really good time with it. But just it wasn't what I was passionate about pursuing in any sort of professional sense. It was just kind of a creative project that I wanted to do, and I did it.
And that leads to my next question. What do you find most fulfilling in the arts?
Whatever I'm working on, as long as it means something to me, and that there's some sort of message that I'm trying to put through there, or some sort of message to either bring people together or something like that, that's what makes it meaningful. And that's probably why the project that I'm working on now, which is this book that we'll talk a little bit about, felt like such a natural go-to for being in the middle of something like a pandemic, where everybody's experiencing not the same thing, but everyone's going through a lot of hardship together. And there are a lot of things that people are going through together. Being able to, I think, address that in a meaningful way that if it either comforts yourself or other people that you're making it for, then I think those are all valuable things.
And let's talk about your book. You released a book this year, Earth is Not a Planet. Tell us a little bit about what the book is about.
Sure. So at the very beginning of the pandemic, there was kind of a decision of like, okay, I can do one of two things. I can either kind of wake up and panic every day, or I can put this kind of all this energy and all these kind of feelings and thoughts into some sort of creative work. And so, you know, especially having we have at the time, what that was like 8 months ago. And so my son was less than a year old. Is that right? And so, you know, there's this question of like, well, what is this world that we just brought this kid into, and how are things going to look moving forward? And so what I started doing was just kind of getting up really early every morning, because, you know, once he's up, it's hard to get anything done, and writing a poem and illustrating something to accompany it, and just sharing it online. And so some days it was about very specific things. It was about kind of feeling hopeful or wanting to see somebody, or wishing you could hug your parents, but you can't because they're 2,000 miles away, or, you know, the fact that we're kind of locked in our houses and all sorts of things like that. And so started posting these about 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and started kind of getting a little bit of traction with it, which was exciting and fun. And people saying, like I was saying before, you know, if someone says, this is actually something I look forward to reading every day, it's inspiring to kind of keep creating that stuff.
Wonder where we're going and when we'll be arriving. We better all behave if we have interest in surviving.
What I want it to be is a memento for a year that people probably don't want to remember, right? There's this idea that I just want to set a match to this whole year and just burn it and forget it. And A, I think that's probably dishonest to yourself, and B, it's like that's what our lives are, these kind of collections of experiences, and some are good and some are bad, and hopefully this is like a memento that you can look back on, and it's not depressing. It's not, it's not poor me. It's one person's account of how this year felt. I'm really excited for people to get it.
This will certainly be a bright spot in a tough 2020 year. And congratulations on all your success. We want to make sure that our viewers can buy the book. Do you have a link that you can provide? I'll put in the description. You can go directly to your site and purchase the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the blog site is just billydraws.com. The book itself can be bought at earthisnotaplanetbook.com.
What's next for Billy Simons? You've tackled the music industry. You're producing. You're publishing books. Can we expect to see you on Broadway soon, or what's next?
Probably not Broadway. I'm feeling I've gotten to really enjoy these kind of shorter stories and these little and the style of illustrating. I think there's going back to the creative part before. There's probably a tendency when you're first starting to try and just create a lot of what you've already seen rather than going with kind of what you think your own thing is. And so if nothing else, this process has got me really comfortable down the line with liking and understanding what my own style is. And so I think the next project is going to be, it'll be another book. The question is just what kind. I've been dabbling with some children's books, but I also kind of like this space in between where like, is it a kid's book or is it an adult's book? It's a little strange. It doesn't fit perfectly into a box. And I like that about it.
Well, I know we'll all be eagerly anticipating your next project. And the final question before I let you go. Aspiring students who are interested in the arts, what's the one piece of advice you can provide to them going forward in their careers?
If you're interested in creative work, I wouldn't put it off until later, right? I would, if that's what you're passionate about, that's what you should go do. And you should learn about it as much as you can. You should be around other people that are doing it and just start figuring out what in that world you want to do, because it can be really intimidating, especially with things like Instagram and Pinterest and everything else. You can look at so much art and so much of it is so impressive. And, I think the best thing to do is to just start working on it immediately and don't be afraid to show people and don't be afraid to share it. Just make stuff, show people, have fun doing it and be carefree about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Billy, for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope that was helpful or at least interesting.
Hello, Suffield. This is Dave Godin coming to you from my very quiet classroom here in Centurion Hall. I've been asked to present to you the first trivia question of the season, and that question is, what current faculty member has the longest tenure here at Suffield Academy? What current faculty member has the longest tenure here at Suffield Academy? If you know the answer to that question, email Adam Pistel at Pistel, Pistel, at SuffieldAcademy.org. And if you're the first to respond, he has a gift for you. All right, that's it for now. Let me just add that I hope you and your family, have a wonderful, happy, and healthy holiday season.
Pam, you ready to rock?
Yeah, and roll.
All right, that's right. That actually applies here. I'm very excited to welcome Pam Autuori, Suffield Academy class of 2008 to the program. Pam, who performs as Tomi, is an accomplished producer, artist, and songwriter based in Los Angeles, California. After graduating from Suffield, Pam attended Berklee College of Music before leaving to form XNY, a rock band based in Brooklyn, New York. While working various office jobs during the day, Pam continued to jam and rock out at night, playing at multiple venues every week. A few weeks after being fired from her corporate job, Pam signed her first solo record deal as Tomi in 2018. Since then, Tomi has released 2 EPs through RCA Records, titled What's Kind of Love and Used To. Tomi has performed all over the world and recently completed her debut tour, selling out at large venues like Brooklyn's Music Hall. She's currently writing and recording a new album during this quarantine period that will be produced independently. Welcome, Pam.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for being on the program.
Always.
So when did you first get started in music?
So I started writing music when I was 12. I started playing guitar around age 7. My dad played, so he taught me. And then honestly, and I don't mean to, I know this is a Suffield thing, but like Suffield had open mic nights, and it was the first time that I was able to perform in front of anyone. And the teachers like took me under their wing and really helped me understand recording and production and how to make music that like people really loved to listen to, and like how to make a like put together a band, and like really like brought out this other side of my music and how I see music and how the industry worked. So it was so that's kind of, so Suffield's really like the seed of where everything got going.
And now, did you start singing first, or did you get into musical instruments?
Guitar, clarinet,
Wow.
I know, twist, and then voice. So I was like playing clarinet, playing guitar, and then I started like quietly singing to myself, quietly writing music. I didn't even know I was writing a song, and then I wrote a song. I wasn't thinking about it.
It just happened.
It just happened. My sister heard it and was like, oh my God, let me play, can you play this for my friend? And then it kind of like just started spinning out from there, because it's just a good feeling to like, to write something and have people want to hear it.
Absolutely. And then if you sound good too. I mean, I would sing, but I was terrible.
I
And
sang really quietly. Once I like found my voice, then it got louder and louder.
And you mentioned that Suffield was a big influence on your music career. Who were the major influences in your life at that time? Were they faculty members at the school? And did you have any outside singers that you really looked up to?
Always. I always looked up to outside singers. I was like a huge Tegan and Sarah fan in high school. I was like always running away to their concerts. I think I got suspended at one point for doing that. And the teachers were really, they were like the best. That's what I was really surprised, and in a good way, about how much they took me under their wing. It was Dave Stillman, who's not at Suffield anymore, and Dean Ellerton. And we all formed this band, and so we'd play out at like venues all over the East Coast with my teachers. And they were like, please don't call us your teachers on stage. And I just couldn't help myself. I thought it was so funny.
What was the name of your band?
It was the Autuori band.
Autuori band.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And so,
I think it was. It might have been Autuori and the band. I think it should have been Autuori and the teachers.
that has a nice ring to it.
It's genius.
Yeah, I agree. So you were heavily involved in music at Suffield, and then you decided to go to Berklee School of Music. That was a clear transition for you. That was a clear next step. Why don't you take us through trying to break into the music industry in college, and then what ultimately made you decide to step away and form your own band?
So I love Berklee. I thought it was so much fun. The only thing about Berklee is there's only, if you go in, like I went into Berklee being like, I want to find my band and I want to meet some people and I want to learn a little bit more technique about guitar and songwriting, producing. So I went in and took really specific classes, and by taking the specific classes, I like just learned exactly what I wanted to learn. I met my drummer. We just happened to live next door to each other. And at that point I was like, let's just leave because we'll save some money and we'll get all the experience that we're not going to get. Like you can only get the music experience in the music industry in the real world. That's really that's like the bread and butter of how you actually can survive it. Because there's no book. You can read a book about it, but until you're in the industry and understand the lingo and who to trust and how the industry actually works, which is the wild, wild west, it's actually insane. You just have to do it in real life.
So you make the big leap of faith and you start X and Y, and then you go off even further and start a solo career as Tomi. And I'm a big Office fan. I see you're sitting behind Pam Beesly's desk from the hit sitcom The Office. And I know there's a story behind it. So why are you sitting behind Pam Beesly's desk?
Okay, so first of all, huge Office fan as well. But Pam, the secretary, is my alter ego because I worked in an investment bank for years when I was in New York trying to make money and hustle on the side with X and Y. And I was Pam the secretary, and it was my dream come true. Because I actually sat in a desk exactly like this. The round, I had my hair was all straight. Hello, this is Pam the secretary. How may I help you? What's better than that? And then, so while I was doing that at night, I would be playing gigs with my band. And then on the weekends, I'd be producing this new project. So I was like in this world, like just a whirlwind of honestly chaos, but it was all amounting to this, to Tomi, which was the breakthrough, which got me out of the office.
And how did you come up with the name Tomi? Is there a significance behind the name?
There is. Okay, so it's a little bit of a twist. So when I was a kid, when I was 7, I started playing guitar. And when I was 7, I also convinced my parents to let me get a lizard. And the lizard's name was Tomi. Tomi only lived for 3 months.
Ouch.
I mean, it was like horror. It was so fast. I was so sad. I was sad for years about that lizard. I don't even know why. It must have been, it was just because I wanted a dog so bad. So I put all of it on the lizard, the poor guy. But you know what? He lives on. He lives on.
Lizard lives on through Tomi. So describe, you're on this solo career. Describe the music that you create. What is your creative process like? How would you describe your music? And what sort of projects do you have coming up?
So my solo project is, I produce all of it. I signed to RCA Records and released 2 EPs from them. The first EP I wrote and produced all in my apartment in Brooklyn. The second EP we explored with other producers, but now I just am coming back down to the roots, because my entire life I just write and produce on my own. It's really an intimate process for me. It's really, I have to feel like no one's listening. I need to be alone. It's like a very therapeutic process, and that's how I get the best stuff. So I've, through quarantine, have gone back to that root, like how to write, just coming from me, no one else in the room. And I wrote an entire album. I wrote it like 3 times. I mean, I've been writing this album for a long time, but during quarantine, I wrote the record, I produced the record, and now it's being mixed and will come out next year, which I'm so excited about.
Well, congratulations. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And
about time.
It's going to be, we're looking forward to it. Can you give us a sneak peek? What is this theme of this album? Is there a topic that you focused on more from this album compared to the last 2 EPs?
Yeah, it's really about identity and coming into your own. It's a lot of like fighting like a fantasy world and a structured world, and like fighting. It's honestly like a lot of it is like this double life, like what I was living when I was like a secretary and then playing in this like rock band at night. It's a very like everything is contrasting something else, and it's about trying to find your balance in between those 2 worlds.
Wow. Have any plans to collaborate with any artists going forward?
I'm a producer, so I produce for other artists. I've done a track with Verite, who's a little pop star who I love, and I'm working with other pop artists. I'm really into that production world. It's really fun for me. It's a total like, my mind can just do whatever it wants. It's really nice. So I've been doing a lot of that. But as far as other collaborations, I mean, I'm hoping to just collaborate with some of my friends who are out in LA. It's just been a great community of women. It's great.
And who would be your ideal collaboration? Like who's the one person, if you could pick, that you'd want to have a hit track with?
You know who I love is Brandi Carlile.
I don't know if I know that.
Did I freeze?
No, you're there. I just don't know who that is.
Sharon Bonnet. Like we're talking like some big vocal vibes. Brittany Howard. You know Brittany Howard? I'm like, Adam, we got to get you a playlist.
Man, you're going to have to make me a playlist.
I will. Your mind is about to be blown.
Should I be embarrassed right now? I don't know this.
No, I mean, not all the way.
Well, that's going to be exciting. I know that's going to happen at some point in the future. I want to step back and talk about the music industry itself. What is you spoke a little bit about trying to navigate the ins and the outs of the music industry. What is it like? Is it as challenging and cutthroat as people say it is? Is that really true?
Yeah. It is. It's so, it does, the thing that is challenging about it is that it just doesn't make any sense. Like, there's not a clear path. Like, you can try to, it's all about the music, but it's also now, because of social media, all about the brand and being able to just sell yourself based on your personality, which is easy for some people, but some people it's kind of awkward. You know, we're getting there. But Instagram that's really where I'm at, because that way I can post videos. They have like, you can post longer videos. You could do a whole set and post it. It's like it's incredible for music, just because you really, especially without shows being performed right now, it's a really great tool to play live and have the entire set. Anybody can watch it. It's just really nice.
And I know I'm going to speak for everyone watching here. We want to get a sneak peek of your newest album. First, how can we follow you? How can we listen more? Do you have a few websites I can put in the description?
Yeah. So there's the name Tomi, all spelled out, TheNameTomi.com. And that will lead you to everything, but all my handles are also the name Tomi. And yeah, and I'll play you a song from the new record so you can hear what the vibes are.
I took a train up to Clinton. I met you there for the weekend. I thought it would keep us rolling on. Every now and then you figure me out. Every now and then I see you straight, but lately we're like a record skipping. And after all, my love is gone. After all, my love is gone. I know I was wrong. After all, my love is loving.
Pam, that was awesome.
Thank
for
you.
sharing. That was so great. Before I let you go, there are dozens of artists at Suffield. As you know, we have the choir groups, we have the plays, we have open mic night. If they're watching this, what is one piece of advice you would give an aspiring artist to follow your path and to break into the music industry?
I would say stay true to yourself. Do not let anybody, no matter what their job is or how powerful you think they are in the industry, do not let them tell you how to be as an artist, because you really need to be strong in your identity and your taste and what you want. And that is going to be the most honest way to move forward and get people to listen to you.
Awesome. Well, Pam, congratulations on all of your success. We're so happy for you. We're eagerly anticipating the release of your new independently produced album in March.
Yes.
I'm going to provide the link in the description to get to your website, and then please keep us updated when you know further the exact date of this.
I will, for sure. Yes, I will. Go Tigers.
I'm here at the Performing Arts Center off of Stiles Lane, about to meet with Chair of the Performing Arts Department, Tom Dugan. Under Tom's leadership over the past 10 years, the Suffield Academy Performing Arts Department has grown extensively, including winning multiple awards and putting on amazing productions. Right now, you'll see, here Tom is right now. Tom, welcome.
Thanks. Hi, guys.
Now, I want to give the viewers a look at the PAC. There have been some additions to the PAC. There have been some renovations.
Yeah.
What's new over the past few years that alums can look at?
A lot. So I've been here 13 years now, and since then this building has completely sort of changed and sort of been updated, and we've expanded a little bit because of our programming. The first thing I think you're going to notice is the lobby has sort of just been a little bit updated with some carpeting, and we have our awards case going on now because we have been winning a bunch of Connecticut Halo Awards and some Stephen Sondheim Awards, as well as the New England Theater Conference Moss Hart Memorial Award for our production of Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime in 2018. So that's one of the things that we've been doing the last couple of years, is sort of submitting ourselves into these award programs to be recognized as a high school theater program around all of New England.
Great.
So congrats.
Now, my eyes go right to the booth over here. Is this a concession stand?
Yes, it is. It is indeed.
Let's take a look at the concession stand.
This was an old closet that we turned into a concession stand to help sell. You can open it. If you want to. Right. So
Wow.
this is actually, it's a little dirty right now because we aren't actually having the concessions this year because of COVID. But what it does is this is where we sell all of our concessions and actually our ticketing system, which is something that is new since probably you've been here.
Yes.
We do a ticketing system now because we often sell out our shows. We hold 200 people in the theater, and usually we are sold out for every performance that we do. So you have an assigned seat. It's like a regular theater. You come, you get scanned in, you sign up on the box office online, and you go to the
Wow.
theater. One of the major upgrades we did was a few years ago is we actually added seating to the theater. So no longer do we just have chairs put in, but we have an entire riser system with seating. Normally this is full of chairs that we can fit about 200 people during a production.
So tell me about this year's show.
It's a phenomenal show. It really pushes the boundaries a little bit and gets you to think, and that's what we're doing. We've tied it into a lot of our curriculum with leadership. We've tied it into our English curriculum. We've tied it into our history curriculum this year. So most of our students on campus right now are learning about Clybourne Park, about gentrification, and about redlining, and sort of having these discussions that we really do need to have.
So we're walking to the control room, and I see all these faces of former students above. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is sort of our Hall of Fame, if you will. It has old posters created by Bill Butcher from our shows that we've done in the past. It has past production photos. This is from Rhymers of Eldridge. We have Spamalot and August Osage County. And then up above, we have lined it up with our Hall of Fame, which are those students who, over their time here, have contributed a significant amount to the theater program, whether on stage or behind the scenes. And so when they're seniors, they get to sign their autographed headshot, and it goes up on the wall. And they can come back and look at it anytime they want.
Awesome.
This is our tech area. This is what we try to keep as updated as possible. Right here we have our soundboard with all the pretty buttons. Everyone likes to see all the colorful buttons. Run by our computer, which is QLab, our new projector, and over there is our lighting room. We've updated a lot in terms of tech, because in the theater world, tech is constantly updating with DMX controlled lighting and moving lights and lasers and different haze machines, and we're constantly looking at upgrading our systems so that we provide sort of the most up-to-date tech, which helps aid in the show. So this is a very cool spot to be in. It's a very fun spot to watch the show from. You get to see everything happen, but everything that happens on stage visually, is, with the exception of the actors, happens from up here, which is really cool.
Awesome. So we're going deeper into the stage right now, where the Performing Arts Department builds all their sets.
So this was created about 13 years ago, I want to say in 2008, in addition to the Performing Arts Center. But this is where we build everything. This is our wood shop. We can even do some metal work in the back there too. But our stage crew is in here every afternoon, sort of building all the set pieces. They built the entire house that we see out on stage. And this is our stuff getting ready to be loaded in for tonight's show.
All right, we're behind the scenes now. The cast is getting ready for the show. Most of the cast is putting on a signature wig, right, Tom?
Yeah, most of them, particularly it's usually the females because of the differences in hairstyles that end up getting wigs. But sometimes some of our males do as well, because they need to be of the time.
All of the cast members also have mics on so the audience can hear them. So it's going to be interesting to see how they
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So we are, for this production, all of our actors are going to keep their mask on because of COVID guidelines. So we definitely wanted to mic them for this show so that you can hear them better, because you're obviously with the mask on, your voice gets mumbled a little bit. So that's been one of probably our biggest challenge, is making how you do this, because you lose a lot of facial expressions with the mask on.
Are you smiling right now?
I'm smiling right now, but you don't know. And so that's one of the biggest challenges as actors. How can you still convey when half of your face is covered?
Right.
So we've been working on that, and they do a really good job with voice and tone, with what they're saying, and the rest of their body, with body language.
I want to thank Tom Dugan and the rest of the Performing Arts Department giving us a sneak peek at Clivemore Park. Excited to see it, and thanks for giving us a backstage pass.
Oh, my pleasure.
I'm very excited to introduce Louis Hilbron, Suffield Academy class of 2006. Louis is a French-American photographer, originally from New York, New York. After Suffield, Louis received a BA from Bard College in 2010 and an MFA from the University of California, Los Angeles in 2018. His work has been exhibited at Gallery Polaris in Paris and in group exhibitions at Human Resources in Los Angeles, the International Architecture Biennale in Venice, Italy, the Bass Museum of Art in Miami, and the Alice Austin House in Staten Island. He published his first book titled From Flowers and More in 2014, and he has received numerous awards, including the Lotus Foundation Award in 2016, and was shortlisted for the Hermes Immersion Prize in 2020. Most notably, Louis was a part of the 2005 Suffield Academy soccer team that won the New England Championship. Thank you, Louis, for being on Tiger TV, and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Adam.
It's great to see you.
Likewise.
So when did you first discover your passion for photography?
I began photography at Suffield in high school. I think like a lot of young photographers. I was always interested in art and had spent a lot of time growing up going to museums before Suffield, kind of with my parents getting strung along for the weekend. And I always knew I was interested in the visual arts, and photography kind of came to in a time when I was maybe struggling to focus on other subjects in school, and was really beneficial for me in terms of learning how to focus, learning how to kind of dive deep into something that was within academia, but was also less rigid, we'll say, than math or something.
Makes sense. I completely agree. And who were your biggest influences at Suffield?
At Suffield, I mean, Andy was really helpful for me. Andy and Hillary, both of them, just gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of space to do what I wanted, and time in the dark room. And I remember one year, I think it was my last year, I was able to just print all winter. I had the dark room to myself, and I'd go every day after school, like 3 hours during the kind of sports block. And there I was just printing, and I just loved it. It just time alone. It was like super meditative. And like I said, they were both so encouraging, and also just gave me a lot of freedom, which I think when you're that age is really exciting, to feel independent. And so I look back at that time a lot as being kind of when I sunk my teeth into the thing and really got attached.
So after Suffield, you went to Bard, and you knew that you wanted to pursue a career in photography.
Mm-hmm.
After you graduated from Bard, what were your next steps? How did you even get started in the field?
So I went to Bard, and Bard had a pretty photo rigorous program, which was really quite amazing, and a really tight-knit photography community with great professors. And from there, I don't know, I was like, I want to be a photographer, I want to be an artist. And a lot of the advice I got was, you should go assist or an artist or a photographer, or go work in a studio. Well, or work in like in media. But what I did was I went to I got a job interning for a project in Israel. It was like a big photo project that brought together, I think, 12 photographers from around the world to do independent. They got like independent residencies in Israel, and to make projects there. And I was kind of like an on-site intern. I was very lucky to have gotten that position. And a man by the name of Frederick Brenner was, he ran the project, and he was kind enough to allow me to tag along. I think it was more out of my enthusiasm for it that he kind of let me join. And through there, I met a lot of different people and different artists in the field of photography. And then later on, went and worked with another artist in Berlin for a little bit in his studio, and then slowly started showing my own work, and then taking up my own kind of small jobs on the side, whether it was some fashion work or some, like recently we were discussing some architecture photography that I've been doing on commission. So
Now, sticking with your work, what are your favorite subjects to photograph?
I don't know if I have a favorite subject. There are definitely some subjects that feel more natural for me to I mean, landscape. I love being outside. I think being in Suffield, growing up in New York and then going to Suffield was kind of an awakening for me of just like not being in an urban environment. So I always, I love open spaces, and I love making landscapes. I don't think landscapes are my strongest, I don't know. But yeah, I like making landscapes, but then it always changes. I think every project I do, I always try to change a little bit what I'm doing and what my focuses are, just to challenge myself and challenge what I'm saying about photography, what I'm saying within kind of the language of art and the history of art. So I would say my favorite is kind of what I decide is going to be my core interest for the project. So I was working with actors more recently, got really excited about that. The project before, I was working with like landscapes, mostly like figure and landscapes. So I was excited about that. Now I'm like drawing a lot, and making pictures of my drawings. So I'm excited about that. So it depends on the project.
Now, you said that landscapes weren't your best photos.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how do you determine that a photo is good and stands out compared to the average amount of other photos or other ones that you take?
I mean, photography is difficult because it's media, as well as it could be so many things, right? It could be art, it could be commercial. It's a picture we all have on our phone. It's like a very kind of mass language, right? And I think when you work in photography and you work within the language of photography, you have to kind of understand the references and the references you evoke, right? Because every viewer basically will have a certain read of your image based on their own understanding of images. So I like to think about a successful image within that kind of frame of mind, where it's what is it saying and how is it speaking within like a larger context of pictures and the history of art. And is it a stable image? Is it an image that is not easily reproducible, or is it an image that, if it is like a picture of a sunset, is it speaking to its reproducibility, like its commonness? So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see some of your work.
Yeah.
And I know you've traveled all over the world taking photos of all sorts of things. Photography is a big part of photography, about the gear and all the lenses you carry. Talk a little bit about how you're using technology in photography, and when you do travel, what are the staple items that you need to bring? And how much does technology affect your
Mhm. Photography is very much a medium that is like tied to its technology, since it's, you know, it was created, it was always evolving, and its use was always evolving based on the development of its technology, from like, you know, a glass plate, to a camera that was more mobile, to a camera that was this big, to a roll of film that was this big, to like digital, you know what I mean? So it's in every one of its stages of, you could say, technological reinventing, the way people make photographs changed dramatically. I now work only digitally. 5 years ago, I was still working with a view camera, which is kind of one of the ones where you put a cloth over your head and you look at an image upside down. But I'm not so interested in the gear that I carry. I generally work with one lens, maybe two. And the new work I'm making, I'm starting to use some different older lenses that I was given. They're like, you know, $15 lenses that are from like the 70s but I'm not a huge techie. I'm more interested in the tools that work, and that allow me to work without too much, I don't know. It's, some people are so specific, and then those ideas they have about the technology they use is also part of their work, you know, and part of the thesis of their work. And yeah, I'm not really like that. So I usually have like a 50 mm lens, which is what you call a normal lens, which is kind of representative of a 1-to-1 ratio of how your eye sees the world. And that's what I put on my camera.
So I'd love to see some of your work, and I'd love for you to show off some of your work. And maybe a few of your favorite photos and where you took them and some background on them.
Yeah, I'll just share some work that I've done recently. It's a project that is not complete, but I've been working on it in the last year, and I'll just share 10 pictures and explain a little bit about what I'm thinking. Does that sound good? How does that look?
Looks pretty good.
Okay. So the work I've been making for the last year, it comes out of maybe like the structures of stories and myths, and the like broad understanding of certain arcs and structures within those types of stories and myths, and how they stay with us and how they impact how we read images and how we watch movies. And then, yeah, so it's about that. And then also looking at theater and theatricality. And it's all kind of working within, I don't know, there's a lot of birds, and thinking about the environment. And I started making this work I basically wrote a story, and then I made drawings, and then the drawings and the story informed the photographs that I went out and made. And some of the drawings exist as like photographs.
Awesome.
And yeah. So it's like pretty religious, or it has a lot of like religious themes, because those themes exist within a lot of stories. A lot of movies come from those original kind of Bible stories.
Now, what's the long term for Louis Hilbron? Are we going to be able to see some of your photos and galleries coming up in local Los Angeles area, maybe New York?
Nothing on the. I was supposed to do a show in March in Paris, but with COVID, I've decided to kind of hold out a little bit and keep working.
And now, many Suffield alums and many students at Suffield are photographers and interested in the photography field. What's one piece of advice that you would give to them on how to break into the industry and dive into photography?
I think it's about being in a community of, of artists and surrounding yourself with people who are working with the same interests, and going to work with other artists, like, taking a job in a studio or taking a job printing for somebody. And if that's not possible, there's always magazines, and there's always production, and just kind of staying somewhere within the world of of images and art, and then kind of working a lot, keeping yourself engaged, and thinking, and reading a lot, and also looking outside the medium of photography is incredibly important. I almost don't look at photographs anymore while I'm making my own projects because of how much they influence me. So it's looking at a lot of painting and looking at a lot of films and reading a lot of books, and just keeping your brain very sharp and engaged, and interested.
Well, these pictures are awesome, Louis, and I want to see more. So how can we view more of your work? Do you have a website that I can post in the description?
Yes, you could post my website, which is just my name.com. And I hope, I try to update it every now and then, but I'm also, some of the projects I work on take a couple years to finish, so I'm usually slow to update that. But yeah.
Well, awesome, Louis. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and congratulations on all your success.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me to chat.
All right, Louis, take care.
Bye.
I'm very excited to introduce Jasmine Brooks, Suffield Academy class of 2014. At Suffield, Jasmine was very involved in both athletics and the theater. During her time at Suffield, Jasmine won 2 Halo Awards for her roles in various campus productions. After graduating from Suffield, Jasmine attended Boston University, where she received her BFA in theater arts. After BU, Jasmine stayed in Boston and started working at Company One Theater, a local theater company. Last year, Jasmine was selected as a producer in residence with the National New Play Network. This is a national residency that is geared towards supporting and shaping future leaders in the American theater. Jasmine is in her 2nd year of the residency at Company One and is one of 11 cohort members with people from across the nation. Jasmine has worked as both a freelance director and producer. She's especially interested in working on new plays and plays with social justice themes. Most recently, Jasmine is the creative producer of the Better Future series at Company One. This series is focused on the different needs of various communities in Boston by bringing together arts, policymakers, community partners, and more. Jasmine is in the process of planning the 2nd series of this project now. Jasmine, welcome to Tiger TV, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
When was the first time you stepped foot on stage?
First time, wow. Let me go way back. I think it was definitely when I was little. I honestly can't tell you what was the first show, but I started acting when I was a little kid. I think about 5 years old or so. And I think I was at a summer camp, and I saw the big kids, the teenagers doing a show, and I think I was just so inspired, and I knew that I wanted to do that as well. So I can't remember the first show, but definitely when I was a little kid.
And so you were very involved in the theater at Suffield. You acted. Did you do theater all 4 years?
Yeah, I did. I was in 4 musicals at Suffield, all directed by Mr. Dugan. And I was in, I think, 2 or 3 plays also, but I was very involved. And then I was in all the classes. I was in Abbott's. I was in the very first Abbott's. And yeah, and choir and stuff like that. So I was really involved in all the shows at the PAC.
And was there one actor, director that got you into this field? Is there one actor that sparked your interest?
I actually started more so singing when I was little. And I really loved all of like the big celebrities of like the 90s, early 2000s. I loved like Aaliyah and Beyonce. And like, I always loved performing and like putting on shows for my family. And I think like they kind of, what?
Who doesn't love them?
Oh yeah, and I know, right? So I think they like I always like put on shows and sang their songs at home, and I think like that was kind of what like jump started me into wanting to be like a performer. And I think really like my peers like growing up inspired me. I feel like that I can't think of anyone who was like the big inspiration that was like a big celebrity in terms of acting, but like always like my friends, and like I loved acting with my friends and stuff in school. So I feel like that was always a big motivator.
And you had great success on the stage at Suffield. You won 2 Halo Awards.
Yeah.
Did that help fuel your interest into college? Did you look at schools with specific theater programs?
Yeah, the Halo Awards was really awesome, and it was cool to be recognized in that way, because I think that did really spark something to me. I'm like, oh, like people think like want to award me for doing this. Like maybe I should keep going on with it. And I actually transferred schools once I went to college. I transferred to BU after my freshman year. And the first college that I went to, I was in a theater program that was a lot smaller. It was more so like a liberal arts school. And I was kind of going just to I wasn't sure what I wanted, because like you said earlier, I was also involved in athletics at Suffield. And the first college that I went to, I was on the track team there, and I was kind of like just trying to like do the Suffield way of having like the best of both worlds. And then once I got to college, I realized like that was a lot to kind of do all these different areas, like to be on the track team and also to like be in theater. And I realized after my freshman year that I wanted a program that was like really specialized in theater, that was a lot more intense, that I could really like learn a lot. So that's why I decided to transfer to Boston University, and I was in a class of like 40 people. And like BU itself is a huge university, but my college itself only had 40 people in the program. So it was super competitive. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds of people have applied. So I felt really grateful to get into it. But that was, I think freshman year was a huge learning moment for me to really focus in, because I think I was trying to do so much. And I realized it was important for me to like really commit fully to theater. And I think transferring to BU was like such a great decision for me.
And so what capacity were you involved in the theater at BU? Were you more on the acting side, or did you get into the production side as well?
Yeah, I was more so in the acting side, but especially why I chose BU is because it's a program that gives you options to try everything. And I tried directing at BU, like my senior thesis, rather than acting one, I directed one. And I was like, I actually really like this. And it came way more naturally to me than acting did, which was like so surprising. And I love just like creating the entire show and like working with all the different like costume designers and set designers, and just like really having a vision and watching it come to life, like was something that I really, really enjoyed my senior year. And I just kind of followed that passion afterwards.
And so after BU, you decided to change paths a little bit. You primarily spent most of your acting career on stage, and then you decided to switch to becoming a producer and focus more on the production stage. Why did you ultimately decide to make the switch?
Yeah, like I said before, I was really inspired by like doing my senior thesis and directing that, and like being able to have the entire vision and see it all come together, I think was something I loved. Like having more agency, having more control, and being able to have like artistic vision in a project, I think was something that I just really, really enjoyed. And then when I got into producing, it was awesome to like, I was casting actors and like setting up schedules and like making sure like what are the venues, what are the plays we're producing, and making sure that everything kind of fell into place. And I think that was something to me that I really, really enjoyed. And being a producer and director allows me to advocate for others in a way that is really important to me. And I was able to use my voice to advocate for other people, to produce the plays I think need to produce now. And it was just such a great switch for me that I really enjoy it. It's a lot more creative license, I feel like.
And expand on that for us. Talk a little bit about what you're doing now. Talk about your production company and what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so weird with this pandemic and not seeing any of my coworkers since March. But it's been really awesome. I work there about 4 times a week, and I am doing like a lot of administrative things along with like the vision stuff. So like, good practical skills. But we like plan like a season of 3 or 4 shows, and we try to do like what are the supporting events that go along with our productions. For my company, our mission is to build community at the intersection of art and social change at Company One Theater. And every time we produce a show, we are like, who are the community partners that we want to bring in on each production? And what are the themes that we really want to investigate, and how do we support it? So there's a lot of different people that are working at different angles to make sure that the work like resonates on a deeper level and that it is impactful. And I think that's really awesome. And it's made me get really specific about the stories that I want to tell and the narratives that I think are really, really important. So that's kind of like how we shape our whole season, and how we don't think about it in a vacuum. It's not just about what are the shows that we like. It's like, what are the shows that we like, and like, why is it important to produce this show now? Which has been like really, really fruitful to do.
Got it. And
Yeah.
and 2020 has been a tough year. COVID has undoubtedly really affected the Broadway community and the theater world. How are you and your company dealing with the setbacks?
Yeah, we thankfully have a great community around us that have kept us going. Like, I've had no coworkers furloughed, none of that. So that's been really awesome. And I decided to, with like a couple of my coworkers, we decided to create this series called the Better Future series, because we weren't able to produce any theater anymore. So we were like, okay, how do we lean into our mission of like social action and social justice and like focusing on political issues? And that was what we did with this series. And so basically I'm the creative producer on it, and it's focused on bringing different communities of Boston together to focus on the needs of our city. So we focus on Boston's Chinatown, we focus on Upham's Corner, which is in Dorchester in Boston. And it was bringing artists together, policymakers, our community partners that we worked on previous shows with, and activists as well. And it was just great for us to like take a moment to be like, what is art's role in telling stories right now, in like talking about all the issues that are happening in our country. And it's been such an honor to hear like these talented, amazing people speak about like what we need to do to move forward in Boston. And I'm really excited. I'm planning the second season right now, and I'm thinking about like the needs of Boston, but as well as like the needs of our nation. And so I'm in the process of curating the second season right now, and it's been really great to think about, the important issues that we need to talk about. And
you mentioned the social and civil unrest that's been going on in this country, and that's really influencing your projects coming up. How can we follow these projects? How can we direct our audience to your productions and for us?
Yeah, thank you for the support. I would love for everyone to check out everything, and I'm so open to having dialogue too, about some of these issues, because that's like what's important to me with creating theaters. It's about dialogue. So to watch the Better Future series, you can visit companyone.org/betterfuture. So that's how you can check that out.
We'll put a link in the description too.
Yeah. And then to learn more about me, my website is jasminerhodesbrooks.com. It's just my name.
And so what do we have to look forward to? What's on the horizon for Jasmine Brooks in the next few months, the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I've been directing a lot of Zoom plays, which has been such a fun challenge to figure out this medium of Zoom and how like it can actually be like a really cool like storytelling device. So I have a lot of like projects I direct on Zoom, like on my website. And I have one coming up in January that's really focused on like gentrification in Boston and how, and I feel so, guilty to this too, of like colleges in Boston are the ones that really kind of create gentrification, because there's so many universities and so many students in Boston. So like that show's kind of looking at that tension of like people that live in those neighborhoods and like college students that kind of move out into poor communities, which kind of push, you know, those people out of the city, which is really, that's hard. So I'm doing a show on that in January. For the Better Future series, we'll have an episode on December 9th, which is like the website that we're going to drop in the chat. That's going to focus on the importance of mental health and activism. And so many people have been fighting this summer for Black Lives Matter and so many different, like so much activism, and that can really weigh heavy on people. And it's really important for artists and for community members to center mental health and making sure that that is something that's at the forefront with these issues. So I'm really excited to delve into that and to talk with some local artists and organizers about that. So yeah, those are 2 things that are on the horizon. Still some things that are like, you know, like in the works, but not fully finalized, but you can like keep up with my website to see what else is coming up.
Well, we're eagerly anticipating the release of all of your projects. Congratulations on all of your success. It's such an exciting time for you to be a part of the theater. And we really look forward to following your career.
I'm Dennis Kinney. I am celebrating my 44th anniversary at Suffield Academy. It took me that long to graduate. We represent a first here today, the first to participate in an outdoor dining experience on Thanksgiving Day.
Hey, class of 97, Aisha Moore checking in. I hope you're all well and safe and healthy in this crazy year that we're having. Biggest update for me is I'm now Aisha Moore Manwaring. I got married this year despite all the insanity. We made lemons out of lemonade. So I am wishing you all well. I hope you have a safe and healthy holiday season, and hopefully we'll all get to see each other very, very soon. Take care.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. We had a busy year ourselves. Eliza turned 1 in July. We moved here to Longmeadow, Mass in October, and so it's been a bit of a whirlwind. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, and have a happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye everybody.
Peace and love, world. It's your boy Lorenzo Bernardes Jr., class of 11, with my boy Hendrix here, my son, future Tiger. 2020 has been a crazy year, you know, but all we could do is keep it positive, do the best that we can, and give people flowers while they're here to smell them, tell them you love them while they can hear you. Download the song by Stevie Wonder, I Just Called to Say I Love You. It'll change your life, and it'll take you to new heights, right? Call your mother, tell you love them. Call your boyfriend, your girlfriend, tell them you love them. Hug your kids.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Doms, class of 1983. I'm living here in Washington, D.C., and I just want to say hello to all my classmates.
Hey guys, my name is Taylor Zadie. My name is Rebecca Matalon, and we were both a part of the class of 2019. We currently attend Clemson University. I'm a part of Chi Omega at Clemson, and I'm currently studying health administration. I'm a part of Kappa Kappa Gamma, and I'm currently studying architecture. Class of 2019, we miss you so much. Happy holidays.